Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through this one, because today we're unpacking the fascinating psychological mechanisms behind why making everyday choices feels so incredibly exhausting. Seriously, if you've ever felt completely drained by the end of the day just from making seemingly minor choices, you are in the exact right place. We're going to look at the hard science of decision-making, see exactly what goes wrong in our brains, and most importantly, learn how to fix it. All right, be honest with me here. Have you ever spent 20 minutes just endlessly deciding what to watch on Netflix or agonizing over a restaurant menu? I think we can all raise our hands on this one. You sit down, completely ready to relax, and suddenly you're trapped in this endless scroll. Or you're at a restaurant, the waiter is hovering, and choosing between the chicken and the pasta feels like a high-stakes negotiation. It's the universal, painful trap of modern decision paralysis. It's a highly relatable problem we all face, and it's actually a symptom of a much, much larger psychological phenomenon.
Well, neuroscience tells us something incredible about this. The suffocating weight of modern decisions, it isn't a personal failure. You aren't just being indecisive. This struggle actually stems from a deeply wired fear of regret. See, it's not really about the choices in front of you. It's about what making that choice represents to your brain. Every single time you choose one path, you are simultaneously rejecting all the other possibilities, and our brains are literally terrified of missing out on the perfect option.
So let's jump right into part one, the paradox of choice, and why having more is actually, well, less.
Picture your typical trip to the grocery store. You aren't just buying cookies anymore. No, you are navigating a dizzying 285 varieties of cookies, 85 brands of crackers, and 95 snack options. And that's just in a single aisle. Historically, human beings did not shop like this. We foraged, or we went to a general store with maybe one or two options. Today, the cumulative effect of having to sift through hundreds of minor variations forces our brains into cognitive overdrive. It causes substantial distress before we've even reached the checkout counter.
To really get a grip on how this breaks our brains, we've got to look at this famous study by psychologists Sheena Iyengar and Mark Lepper. They set up tasting booths in a California supermarket. One booth had 6 jars of jam, and the other had 24 jars. When they displayed that massive assortment of 24 jams, a whopping 60% of shoppers stopped to check it out. Choice is appealing, right? We're naturally drawn to abundance, but what happened next is the absolute core of our explainer today. The wild difference is in the actual purchase rates. While the large assortment of 24 jams attracted way more foot traffic, it resulted in a drastic, off-a-cliff drop-off in sales. Only 3% of those people actually bought a jar. But over at the table with only 6 jams, 30% of people made a purchase. It brilliantly illustrates the paradox. Having too many options fundamentally paralyzes our ability to commit to a decision. We get overwhelmed, so we just choose nothing at all. Moving right along to Section 2, Maximizers versus Satisficers. Let's look at the two distinct types of choosers. First up, we have the satisficer. This term was actually coined by Nobel Prize-winning economist Herbert A. Simon, and it's a mashup of the words satisfying and sufficing. Basically, a satisficer is someone who figures out their basic requirements for a decision, and as soon as they find an option that meets those requirements, boom, they choose it and they stop searching. So, for example, if a satisficer needs a commuter car, they might say, okay, I need good fuel efficiency and heated seats. The exact moment they find a car that has those two things in their budget, they buy it. They don't need to look at every single car on the lot.
Now, contrast this with the maximizer. The maximizer's ultimate goal is to find the absolute maximum utility, literally the single best option in existence. They exhaustively research, they compare constantly, they read every single review online. But paradoxically, because they've seen all the alternatives they're missing out on, maximizers end up feeling significantly higher regret, way more buyer's remorse, and overall lower life satisfaction. It's crazy, right? Satisficers seek good enough and feel happier. Maximizers seek perfect and end up feeling miserable.
And this brilliantly illustrates the trap of the maximizer, that relentless, exhausting hunt for the golden egg of perfectionism. Researchers actually studied this exact thing in the context of online dating. Maximizers will ruthlessly exhaust their options, swiping endlessly, trying to find the ultimate, mathematically perfect partner. Yet the data shows they don't actually benefit from this rigorous approach at all. Their final selection is mathematically no better than the satisficers, but the maximizers left exhausted, constantly doubting their choice, and wondering if someone even better was just one swipe away.
All right, on to Section 3, the science of overload. Let's uncover the hidden triggers making this happen. So what's actually happening in our heads? The research points to 3 massive psychological triggers rooted in the fear of regret. First is perfectionism, that belief that there is only one correct choice, which creates this total all-or-nothing trap. Second is over-responsibility. This is the subconscious feeling that your choices directly reflect your worth as a person. Like, if you pick a bad movie for movie night, you suddenly feel like a complete failure. And third is uncertainty intolerance. You see, our brains crave certainty. When larger, important areas of our lives feel out of control, we desperately try to micromanage low-stakes decisions just to feel a sense of certainty. We literally freeze up over a dinner menu because the rest of life feels overwhelmingly unpredictable.
Add to this a concept psychologists call choice set complexity. Take buying jeans, for example. It is not just choosing blue jeans anymore. It's choosing the wash, the cut, the rise, button fly versus zipper. When a decision involves a proliferation of minor, complementary details, what the researchers call alignable features, it forces your brain into these cognitively exhausting trade-offs. You have to constantly weigh the pros and cons of an intra fabric here versus a slightly different shade of indigo there.
And the brutal truth here? Our brains just are not built for this. We operate under what's called bounded rationality. The human working memory limit is roughly 7 items, plus or minus 2. That is our channel capacity. When we surpass our mental capacity of 7 items and try to compare 24 jams or 85 different boxes of crackers, our working memory just crashes. We simply abandon the decision, we defer it for later, or we end up choosing completely at random just to escape the cognitive pain.
Okay, let's fix this. Part 4. Simplifying your decisions. Here are some actionable strategies for your actual life.
Psychologist Barry Schwartz, who literally wrote the book on the paradox of choice, offers some incredibly brilliant rules for this. First, satisfice more. Just aim for good enough. Second, choose when to choose. Don't waste your precious energy deciding on things that really don't matter. Third, and I find this one fascinating, make non-reversible decisions. We always think we want the option to return things, right? But research shows that when a decision is final, our brain actually adapts to like it more. And finally, love constraints. Voluntarily embracing constraints, like saying, I am only going to shop at this one specific store, actually liberates us from the total fatigue of endless browsing.
Now, we can layer these rules with principles from Leo Babauta's minimalist approach to edit your life. Step 1. Identify the essential. What actually matters to you? Step 2. Edit your commitments. Intentionally lowering your expectations and cutting out all the noise protects your very limited mental bandwidth. And step 3. Do a media fast. Decluttering the inputs and the hundreds of advertisements you see daily directly reduces the sheer number of artificial choices your brain is forced to process.
Okay, I want to share one of my absolute favorite, most powerful perspective shifts from the research. The next time you find yourself paralyzed over a minor choice, just ask yourself, what would I tell a friend in this situation? It sounds almost too simple, but neurologically, it's profound. This single question actually activates completely different neural pathways in your brain. It pulls you right out of your emotional perfectionist spiral and allows you to view the decision objectively, immediately bypassing that paralyzing fear of regret.
So as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a direct challenge. What small decision are you going to stop overthinking today? I challenge you to confidently practice satisficing right now. Pick the first restaurant that looks decent. Watch the very first movie that catches your eye. Embrace the freedom of limits, and remember that when it comes to the vast majority of our daily choices, good enough isn't settling. It is the real, scientifically proven secret to happiness. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.